All right, we are live here at Brasstown Valley Resort and Spa. Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Adams. Thanks so much for being with us for DawgNation Days of Summer. Of course, you recognize the gentleman to my right, the great former Georgia Bulldog Scott Werner. Jeff Sintel, I don't know if I'm going to call him great or not, but he's a good guy. Well, we'll say he's a good guy, he's not a great former player. You know, I guess, guys, let me first of all say this. You know, thanks so much for being a part of what we're doing here tonight. I've had a chance to talk to so many Georgia fans, and the conversation's been easygoing, it's been free-flowing, and everybody's having a good time. You can really sense that there's an anticipation for the start of football season. So, Scott, first of all, thanks so much for being here and being so willing to tell your stories in this beautiful setting in the North Georgia mountains. We really appreciate that. We hope it's been a fun time for you thus far.
It certainly has, and it's good to be back around Georgia folks, but what a great opportunity we have this year.
Yeah, for sure. Georgia's got an incredible opportunity. And, Jeff, when you talk to people out here, and we've done a couple of these thus far this summer, and the sense that you get is really the same thing every time. There is that sense of, why wouldn't it be Georgia in 2019? And that's not to discredit what Clemson, defending national champion, is capable of doing. It's not to discredit what the defending SEC champion, Alabama, is capable of doing. And yet, there is undeniably a sense of optimism for the Georgia fans that we've spoken to here. And I really think in so many ways, the fans that are in this building right now are also fairly representative of DawgNation at large, which is so ready to see this team start practice tomorrow and begin the season shortly after that.
Yeah, well, first of all, this has been one of our banner events. I mean, not just the fact that we've had classy Scott Werner here, just sharing stories and making us laugh and making everyone appreciate why they came out tonight. And I think the difference is you know, a lot of people forget, Brandon, that in 2008, Georgia was the preseason #1 team, but it was different. It was almost like the lightning was in the bottle, and this was the chance. I think most people look at this Georgia football team and this program, and they just realize Georgia is there. They're going to knock on the door every year. And, yeah, this is a high-water year with a lot of guys that will probably be playing on Sundays in 2020. But right now, this is a great chance for Georgia. But I don't think people look at this and like, well, this is our shot, this is our one. I just think Georgia's arrived as a team that will be there every year.
And, Scott, along those lines, tonight's the last night of sleep these guys will get before practice begins tomorrow. Your nephew, Charlie Werner, a part of that. You yourself at one point in time was part of that. What is it like? The butterflies, are they in your stomach? Are you chomping at the bit to go out there and, you know, tomorrow probably won't be a whole lot of trade and paint, but are you chomping at the bit for the physicality? What's it like that evening before the practices get going, which is where this Georgia team finds itself right now?
That's quite interesting. It's been a long time. Where do they all don't live together anymore in the athletic dorm like we had. Sad for them in that respect, because that was the greatest 4 years of my life, living with all those guys and all the other athletes as well. That was you talk about football players playing basketball. We had the greatest pickup basketball game with Dominique Wilkins.
Wow.
Yeah. In Stegman Hall on Sunday mornings, playing pickup basketball. Trey Norris. Ray Donaldson played for the Colts for so long. He's probably the guy that can play basketball and football as well. He was incredible. A great athlete. He could hold a basketball in one hand and you couldn't pull it out of it. You could grab two. It's unbelievable.
You love stories like that, Jeff. Great to think about those legendary dogs of that era.
So guys, let's not bury the lead. I can't not hold a conversation and not see this football here in front of me. And it feels like all you dog people that are watching this feed, I'm just going to let the man himself tell this story, because you're tuning in, you want to hear something from an all-time great. You want to hear some glory. This right here, I think, is a priceless keepsake of Georgia football.
Yeah, so, Scott, if you don't mind, if you're willing to share this with us, this is something that you brought to show us, and so many people tonight have been coming up to get their picture taken with this. Would you mind letting folks know what this piece of college football history in front of us is right here?
With great pleasure. It is my last play in college football against Notre Dame in the national championship. It's the ball I intercepted in the Sugar Bowl, and I kept it. I wasn't going to give it back to them. I figured this is my one opportunity. I'll hold on to it, and it's set on the mantle for all these years. And I think now that I'm reaching that those golden years, that I think I might put it in the will that it goes to the University of Georgia when things are said and done.
That's an incredibly generous ag. Yeah, that's a well-deserved round of applause for that. And one of the things that we were talking about before we started our video broadcast with our folks who are here at Brasstown Valley Resort tonight is it's a little bit of a challenge to even be able to hold on to something like that, because there are a lot of guys that haven't been lucky enough to have the football from not just your biggest play, but arguably the biggest play for any Georgia team, because it preserved the national championship. You had to do a little bit of work just to be able to hold on to that thing.
Well, if you'd have been in the Sugar Bowl, and for those of you that were, it was total and utter chaos down on the field. And had there not been that many people on the field, I'd have laid down. But you couldn't lay down. There was so many people, you had to stand up. They kept you kind of moving.
Yeah.
But it was all we wanted to do was stop and get a drink of water. I mean, we were absolutely exhausted. And
there are a lot of folks in New Orleans that use a drink of water, especially after a big night.
That particular game, as I said earlier, we were talking about to amongst the seniors, Frank and Pat McShay and Robert Miles. There was a whole bunch of guys in the huddle. Chris Welton was in there, and every time you went out in the huddle, Coach Russell would come to the sidelines and say, "Fellas, we got to go do it one more time. The offense just went 3 and out." And you were refreshed and you were ready to go. And you get out in the huddle, and there'd be a new, fresh face, a clean jersey, somebody you hadn't seen before, and it was a freshman, coming in the game. That game probably I would like to go back and count how many defensive players we actually played in that game, because everybody that had ever played defense at Georgia played that year in that game.
That's an amazing thing to think about. Now, my artifact is maybe not quite as fancy as that. Some of you know on DawgNation Daily I've had a little bit of battery issues with my laptop. Well, this, straight from the University of Florida Engineering Department, this is a mullet-powered battery. You see in honor of what some people like to call Dan Mullet, the Florida coach. There's your mullet-powered battery for my laptop. We'll see if that works any better for a future edition of DawgNation Daily. But it's been a lot of fun to hang out with folks tonight. And so many of these good stories and laughs and some of the fun going on. And, Jeff, in addition to that, there's also been a lot of excitement about the recruiting stuff, the news involving Kendall Milton going back to Monday, the dominoes that could fall after that. I guess just broadly speaking, would you mind giving us an update for the folks here with us at Brasstown Valley Resort and Spa, for those tuned in who wish they could be here? What is next for Georgia now that Kendall Milton's in the fold?
Well, first of all, one last thing about this ball. It's still got Notre Dame on it. It's inscribed Notre Dame. Mr. Warner tucked that thing, and that was truly a pick six, because wasn't a pick six, but he took it all the way back up to northeast Georgia on the mantle, so to speak. But everybody wants to know about recruiting. Let me do one thing. Everybody's really confused today. I'm seeing it in my mentions. All these guys that are committed to Georgia or committed elsewhere, they're tweeting out. You get an edit these days that's a very slick, polished. You've got words, you got pictures, and everybody thinks, well, what it is August the 1st is the time when all these kids claim they've got 40, 50, 60 scholarship offers. They get something from the universities, and it's usually an email or a DM or a text message now, where it's them, and it would say, for instance, Scott Warner, class of 2020, you have your official scholarship offer, and you get one from Oregon, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, whatever. And there's a lot of people now thinking, what happened? He's not offered yet, and he's committed to it. It's just basically a formality.
Okay.
Everybody's gotten them today. Kendall Milton's tweeted it out. Marcus Rosenby tweeted it out. Cedric Von Pron's tweeted them out. Guys that aren't committed to Georgia, guys that are committed to Georgia. So let me just clear up that confusion if everybody's asking me that on my social media feed. Don't worry. Just part of the deal here. It's kind of like getting mail all the time from credit card companies in your mail. We all get them. Nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. But really right now it's a dead period, which means coaches and players and high school players, there's a sense of normalcy finally to college recruiting, which means the college football coaches, they focus on their team. The high school players, they focus on their team, as it should be, and everybody keeps the main thing the main thing. Now, of course, they're still going to get called. They're still going to get text messages and the edits and all that stuff. But you can't have any off-campus or on-campus contact until the first games come around.
That's very interesting to think. Jeff, thanks for giving us an update on that. James Bryant, also watching in our Facebook comment section, was referencing your reference to Coach Russell a moment ago, and he said, hey, everybody make sure you pay attention to that name. And, for a new breed of Georgia fan, they don't remember Coach Russell coaching that defense, the blood trickling down his forehead. They don't remember that part of the great Georgia legacy. For those maybe too young to have seen him as Georgia defensive coordinator and know the imprint that he put on your teams, what did people miss out on by not getting a chance to live through the Irk Russell era at Georgia?
You missed the greatest motivator in the history of college football. Getting inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, everybody knows Coach Russell. He goes down to he coaches at Georgia for 17 years, and he goes down to Georgia Southern and wins 3 championships. But he's not eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame.
Is that right?
Yeah. He wasn't a head coach long enough.
Really?
I said 3 championships, and he wasn't a head coach long enough, okay? Whatever. But that's the criteria he didn't meet. 10 years as a head coach. And I said, well, you just don't understand the power he had over the players with a word, a simple word or two, that you just did not want to let that man down.
Rael Osiris checking in from Afghanistan. Rael, we appreciate you being a part of our program here today. And along those lines, Scott, this year is going to be a pretty special one for Georgia, regardless of what happens on the field by the end of the year. For the home opener to start things off on September the 7th, your head coach, Vince Dooley, is going to have the field named after him at Sanford Stadium. For someone like me who grew up watching Coach Dooley and a huge fan of his, this is a pretty big deal. But obviously I'm guessing it means a lot more for you because you played for him. What will your feelings be when you see his name marking your era on that field at Sanford Stadium forevermore?
Well, I was right on the verge of writing my columns that I write, and I was going to write one this year about the field and why it wasn't named. And several people said, just wait, because it was already in the works, everything happening. And I said, well, it's about time. He deserves that honor. Come on, he's got a great career at the University of Georgia, and he changed the University of Georgia. I mean, look at it now compared to where it was when he took over as athletic director. I mean, he changed the face of the University of Georgia.
And Jeff, the fact that this season will have that Notre Dame game, Kirby Smart even made reference to this when he was on ESPN not too long ago, that there is a certain symbolism to that, right? That the great win against Notre Dame, we got the football from that game right here on our table right now. The fact that when Georgia hosts Notre Dame, first time ever coming to Athens, it'll do so with Dooley Field having been christened a couple weeks before that. That does make it cooler. It does make it more special, does it not?
It does. I mean, a lot of people today in our society, they think, okay, I've done that before. Well, nobody's seen Notre Dame play inside Sanford Stadium. And
yeah.
Nobody's seen, I think there's a cool wrinkle coming up this fall with the red ribbon lighting now and what they'll do with the light up Sanford moments in the fourth quarter. Who knows if they'll have the black jerseys? Who knows? That's always a great talking point for the fans. But, you were just chatting with him, and again, sometimes I just go reporter on and reporter off, but I don't know if I've ever heard your recruiting story. How did you get recruited by the University of Georgia? Was it Irk? Was it Vince? What did they sell you on that made you want to become a Georgia Bulldog?
First of all, the man I played for in high school named Wayman Sellers was a 1949 captain for Wally Butts at the University of Georgia. Wow. So he's from Albany.
Benny.
Which is how you say it.
Yeah, he's from Albany, and he took me to my first Georgia game in a convertible. We cruised up there and sat in the end zone, watched California.
Really?
Roth, quarterback, Joe Roth.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
He was throwing bombs that day, and anyway, it was, and I thought, dang, this is pretty cool. I might like this one day.
That's pretty good to think about right there. We get a lot more of those stories coming up tonight as a part of our DawgNation Days of Summer. We're live at Brasstown Valley Resort and Spa in beautiful Towns County, Georgia. My invitation to you would be, if you couldn't be with us for this tonight, when you get a chance, you've really got to get up here and see this fantastic resort, the world-class amenities. Just behind me right now is a great golf course. I'm looking forward to taking advantage of that tomorrow. Now, I'm probably going to dig it up a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you about that. I'm going to leave a couple ugly divots, but nonetheless, I'm going to have a good time while I'm there. I think Jeff Sintel would say the same thing. Great food, beautiful views, incredible service. This is just a world-class resort. We're lucky to have it here in the North Georgia Mountains area, so please come by and check that out while you're here. See Lake Chautauqua and all the stuff that kind of surrounds this area. Towns County, one of the great places you can come. And my personal invitation to you is check out Brasstown Valley Resort and Spa the first opportunity you get, whether it be late summer, early fall, or maybe even thinking about heading towards the holiday season. It is a terrific time to be a part of just the great scene that is here in the North Georgia Mountains. I hope you'll check out Brasstown Valley Resort and Spa. And Jeff, the conversation continuing here on Facebook here as well. Zach Smith says, I can't wait to turn Nashville red and black. It's going to be great to open the season invading another stadium. And this is going to become a hotter topic as we head towards that. The fact that it's unique to play Vanderbilt week 1. Georgia typically plays them more towards the middle of the season. Nashville is a great weekend town. A lot of Georgia fans plan on taking advantage of that. In fact, here, I know we did this earlier, but for our audience here watching, a round of applause if you plan on being in Nashville for week 1. Yeah, a lot of folks already planning on being there. So, Jeff, with that in mind, I mean, what are your thoughts about seeing Georgia to open the season on the road in the SEC?
It's funny, you have to compare one program to another. Brandon, I know you'll get a kick out of this question. You think Georgia's opener with Vanderbilt is tougher than Alabama's opener with Duke?
Yeah, I would say that Vanderbilt's probably a better team than Duke is, for sure, especially when you get a chance to play Duke in a neutral site game. No, I would not say that's the boldest opening season game Alabama could play, not by a long shot.
That's even in the Benz, too, of all things. So here's what I'm looking for from a reporter.
Tickets still available, by the way.
What I'm looking for from a reporter's perspective of the opener is I think I want to see who makes the 70 and really who makes the 67, because you got the kicker, the punter, and you got to have your long snapper and everything else. So it's an SEC game, which means you can only take 67 guys, 70 guys on the road for an SEC conference game, even though when it's that early. And Brandon, I'm really curious. I think I know that one of the receivers is going to be Tyler Simmons. You probably got to expect one of those receivers has got to be Lawrence Cager. And then you start wondering, okay, who's the other 5 or 6? I think the best Georgia football team of 2019 has a way where George Pickens and Dominic Blaylock become part of the top 8 receivers.
Yeah, I think so.
But then is it Matt Landers? Is it Tommy Bush? Is it Demetrius Robertson? Is it a lot of guys that you're just kind of waiting for them to pop? Because I know everybody knows what number 7 is going to do in the backfield, number 35 is going to do in the backfield, what those hog mollies on the offensive line are going to do, what 11 is going to do. Everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen at receiver. And if you listened, well, you didn't need to really listen closely to Kirby Smart during spring practice. The one position he was so worried about was the wide receiver spot, and naturally, because you're losing Nada, you're losing the 4 other top receivers from a year ago as well.
And, Jeff, you mentioned Nada and the guy that's expected to step in and fill the void that Isaac left from a year ago, and Isaac had a pretty good statistical year. He had more than 400 yards receiving. Obviously, that's Charlie Werner. That's your nephew, and we talked about this when you were on DawgNation Daily a little earlier this week, to see your name still a part of this Georgia program. And Charlie, who's certainly made the Warner family proud with his time at Georgia thus far and with the chances for a big year to close out his UGA career, what does that mean for you personally to see that? He seems to be, as I said, such a good representative of your family and the university itself. How much fun do you have watching him still in this field?
Oh, it means everything to me, especially knowing what knowing where I've been and what I've gone through, and he's had nothing but good times. I mean, he really has had good times. He's got great roommates. They're having the time of their life, and he'll end up playing on Sundays.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's got a great chance to be able to do that. And Jeff, one of the things we talked about when Scott was with us on DawgNation Daily this week is, Charlie's an outdoorsman. Scott himself is an outdoorsman. Jake Fromm enjoys that. There's a pretty good pipeline of players coming into this program because of these guys that know their way around a fishing hole and a deer stand. That's a pretty good way to attract another generation of 4- and 5-star player who likes the idea that a lot of these Georgia guys know how to go have a good time on Sunday once the game's over on Saturday, right?
Yeah, and you got Cade Mays is another guy that falls
Probably
right in line
came to
there.
Georgia largely for that reason, or at least partially for that reason.
Ben Cleveland, still got to remember him. It looks like he could be the Incredible Hulk in the next Avengers movie if you just painted him green a little bit. You've got a lot of guys there that it's different. These guys, I think earlier this week was Jake's birthday, Jake Fromm's birthday. He turned 21. And I'm sure he's probably tried to spend half that day in the film room or working with the new receivers, voluntary, of course, off the field. But I bet he found a way to get on the open water a little bit or something like that, or at least bait a hook. That's just when he's having so much fun. I remember in the media day, somebody asked him, is it better to play a good football game or have a great day duck hunting? And he was like, I don't know about that. It might be the duck hunt.
We've had that conversation many times about what's a good day. Any day you can get out, it's a good day. But yeah, I said, football just didn't lend itself to a fall hunting season, and that was the greatest thing about the USFL. It ended in July, and I played 3 seasons. And when I got home, I made up for all those years I didn't get to sit in a tree every day. But Jake and I were talking. We were figuring there were too many lakes in Georgia that we couldn't get on, private, public. He said, and we probably wouldn't even get arrested.
Probably not.
I said, now you're talking golf courses. But that was our favorite place to fish. At the university was the quickest to hit the golf courses real quick, and we caught some monster bass. Yeah, oh yeah. But now they let them go out there without any trouble. And they call the police on us, but now they let them go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine there's not too many places the Georgia football players are going to get turned down entry to right now, be it fishing holes, golf courses, deer land, or anything else.
Let me say this. If somebody finds Jake Fromm on their lake, here's what they're going to say. Can we help you clean them and cook them and everything else?
That's probably
That's
about
what
right.
they're saying.
Just make sure you keep that fish hook out of your hand at that point in time, right?
Jake, did you make it out of the lake okay? No tackle injuries? All right.
Well, Scott, the other thing that Jake, I heard him quoted as saying the other day is when you really do find that good fishing hole, you can't tell people where it is. You got to keep it a secret.
That's no way. It's over here. Come on, I'll take you to it. It's right over here.
Right, exactly. All right, we're going to get ready to wrap things up as part of our video. The one thing you're going to notice if you're checking in tonight is that you can't match the fun that we're having in person. We try to bring a taste of this to you on the magic of our DawgNation video channels, but the next time we have, whether it be a DawgNation Days of Summer event or some of the great stuff we have planned this fall, if you can get over and come see us in person, we would certainly love to be able to do that, because there is no way to rival the stories that you hear, the laughter from Georgia fans, and the sense of excitement that exists about the upcoming season. With that in mind, Jeff, how about a final thought from you with practice starting tomorrow, with some of these recruiting pieces still yet to fall into place? What's on your mind as the calendar turns to August?
It's funny. I think of where I was on Monday and Sunday, and that was Fresno, California, and Kendall Milton's great-grandmother is on the couch. She flips him a Georgia hat, and she says, Kendall, it's time. Kendall, it's time. It's time for Georgia football, everybody.
Yeah, I would think that's certainly true. And, Scott, I know you're as excited about it as anybody is. The return of a football season, the chance for maybe Georgia to do something special.
I'm excited for those guys. It's hot in Athens. It's hot in Athens. There's no two ways about it. I'm glad I'm out of that side of it, but gosh, I'm looking forward to a great year.
Yeah, me too. And we'll look forward to covering it for you here on DawgNation, including plenty of stuff from Athens tomorrow as a part of UGA practice. So stay close to your device. However you access DawgNation, you'll see plenty of that. I'll be back on Monday for DawgNation Daily. But tomorrow, get a chance to do it live here from Brasstown Valley Resort and Spa. So wake up with me at 10 a.m. I'll have the mountains in the background and this beautiful resort in front of me. I hope you will check that out. I'm going to have Jeff Sintel stop by and say hello to us as well. So that'll be a good time. So we'll see you soon here, and come on by and see us anytime we're around. And the next time we're at Brasstown Valley Resort and Spa, that's got to be something you've got to make your way over, because it's been a great time, and the fun for us is only just beginning. So with that in mind, we'll say goodbye to you for now and check in with you very soon right back here on the DawgNation video channels.